Veteran Democratic strategist James Carville tore into former President Joe Biden Thursday. Let's watch what he told his co-host Al Hunt on the Political War Room.
This entire thing in this kind of petty back and forth, oh, I would have beat Trump. No one fucking believes that at all. Guy, you had a noble career. Your last act was terrible. Just get out of the way. The party's moving on. I mean, they're really moving on. And it's very sad but that's just where we are. And he created this himself. He has nobody to blame but himself. Nobody. No one wants to hear from this guy anymore. Okay? Right. Just go to your condo in Rehoboth and stay there.
Looking ahead, Carville zeroed in on what he wants to see from the party. Let's watch that.
When somebody runs for Democratic nomination in 2028, the first thing that I want to hear out of their mouth is, I'm taking our message everywhere. And when I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. I mean Joe Rogan, I mean Fox News, I mean Sunday morning shows, I mean everything. We're dour, okay? It's always somebody's in a pissy mood, or somebody's this. And we're just not connecting. We're not connecting at all. And then we strategically don't go on places that accentuate certain parts of popular culture, particularly male popular culture. And the result is just the same thing.
Well, our old friend James Carville, who joined us on Rising a fairly short time ago, making his feelings known quite candidly, as he tends to do. So look, I have been rather critical of now former President Biden on here. I think he did hang around too long. I think that it was a grave political miscalculation to do so. I'm not sure, I mean, when James talks about or insists that Biden has to get out of the way, I guess my only question is he really in the way? I mean, Joe Biden is the age he is. He has left the scene. He's maybe talking about those reports that Biden is kind of cheesed off about the idea that he could have beaten Trump and Kamala Harris did not. If Biden believes that, I think it's a fanciful belief. But I'm just not sure he's in the way in any sense. And so that's my only caveat on James's complaints there.
So I kind of connect this to the New Yorker profile on Kamala Harris's sort of post-election plans and whether she's going to go quietly in the night and live happily in California ever after, or if she might run for governor, or if she might end up running for president again in 2028. And it kind of got at this idea that it would be incredibly difficult for her to run for president even in 2028 because she still carries the baggage of the Biden administration. So to me, Carville's almost hinting more at a problem for the Democratic Party than Joe Biden himself, which is that they have to put up a candidate in 2028 that is divorced from the hugely unpopular Biden admin.
Well, that is an argument that you can make. It would be, I think, uncharacteristic of Carville if he said Biden when he wouldn't normally be somebody who would be reticent about criticizing people. And I would assume that if he has problems with Kamala Harris, he will say so. I have a lot of sympathy with his general critique, I suppose. The idea that Democrats have not taken their message to some of those places that they might have done so. As we know, Kamala Harris, when she was a candidate, did not make the Joe Rogan interview happen. Trump did. He sat there for, I think it was a 3-hour interview, if I remember correctly, and it quickly racked up millions and millions of views. I also think that Carville's point seems to be about Democrats not connecting with a sense of sort of anger or resentment in the country about various economic issues and malaise and wage stagnation and all of that. I again have a lot of sympathy with that view. I think it's something that Democrats are going to need to do a lot better in the years ahead. And although I expect there will be many things almost every day from Mr. Trump's desk that Democrats object to vigorously and sincerely, I'm not sure that will be enough to win back Congress in 2 years or the White House in 4 years.
Yeah, I think the midterms are a better shot for them than the 2028 White House, but we'll see what happens with that. The RNC better get their game together and start getting ready, because the conditions always after a new president is elected are quite bad for the incumbent party.
Right. Who do you think, as someone who has more insight or more feel for the Conservative movement than I do, who, assuming that Trump is going to in fact leave, and I know there's always Democratic fears that he'll actually just go on, but assuming he's not the Republican nominee in 2028, who do you think would be among the front runners?
Vance, easily.
You think it would be Vance way out ahead?
He's the most ideologically simpatico with the Trump agenda and MAGA and America First policy. He's one of the most populist members of the Republican Party, which is where the party is moving. You see neoconservatives, for example, sort of fleeing the party, and even people who wouldn't traditionally be considered MAGA feeling like they have to get on board because Trump is so popular within the party's base. So I think Vance is the obvious successor. He's obviously an incredibly smart guy. He's also young. He is able to do media interviews very, very well. He's great on policy. So it seems very obvious to me. Josh Hawley is actually probably the second closest ideologically to J.D. Vance, who sort of has like the intellectual view of MAGA. But Josh Hawley is very, very wonky, and I think better suited for the Senate.
So I think among Democrats, and I say this partly to annoy Robbie since he shares a home state with this person, I think Gretchen Whitmer might end up as the Democratic nominee. I think that she has a capacity to connect with people. I think she's not so easily dismissed as some like Gavin Newsom types are, as the quote unquote coastal elites. I think she's a very talented politician, and I think she is capable of, to get back to Carville's point, I think she does have the capacity to act as a sort of a vehicle for that criticism or resentment of economic lack of progress. She basically, I think, could unite the more progressive parts of the Democratic Party and the more centrist parts of the Democratic Party. So maybe we'll hang around here talking for 4 years and we'll get a Gretchen Whitmer versus J.D. Vance election.
Maybe so. That would be very interesting. I'm curious about how she'll play outside of Michigan, because that is a very unique political state.
It is.
And I'm wondering if she can sort of expand that coalition to some of the other swing states.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it is going to be
Yeah.
interesting because it is, assuming that Trump is indeed term limited out, it's going to be one of those interesting elections where there's no, it's an open seat for the nomination on either side.
Indeed. Coming up, Trump is not done with his national security purge yet. We'll tell you all about it next on Rising.